Yo, 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 what's up, guys? Cova here, and today we're going to be doing a different type of live stream. We're going to be looking at some of my comics that I have for sale right now. In the last couple years, last year or so, I've made a good amount of comics, and I just want to kind of like show what I've done. The works, the comics that I've made, the works that I've done, things of that nature, and kind of maybe even talk about how I got to the point of uh, putting comics and stuff like that out. I'm gonna go through each one of my books, or at least these ones that I have right now um, available, and then yeah, we'll just talk. I'm just gonna talk about it. Just maybe ramble on, kind of talk about the inspiration for each book and um, all that. Yo, what's up? If this, and then yeah, just kind of just go from there. Before we get into that, I just wanted to, let you guys know that I have a um give me a sec. I'm dropping all these damn links and stuff on my stuff before I get into it. Right now. All right. Sweet, sweet. So what's up everybody? What's up, Dale? What's up, Ectus? All right, so yeah, so we're gonna be looking at some of my comics today. Look at all the ones that I've produced in the last year, like I was saying earlier. Um, these are all the comics that like I put together. I've done from the ground up. Wrote, drew, formatted, and then got printed. Um, so here's Then before I get into that, sorry, lose my train of thought. I have a sale going on, holiday sale for all of my books. You go to my website, everything's pretty much like up to 70% off. Everything's damn near affordable. I've already sold out of a few books like Troll Calls on. I sold out. I know it says pre-order, but it's sold out. All of my other stuff. I have a few issues of Tit for Tat left, a few issues of AWOL number 2 left. I have a good amount of issues of AWOL 1 left. That's because I just have a huge stock of those books. And then Otaku no Gaijin Volume 2. So all these books are, and Spider-Man Nobody's Safe. All these books are on sale. And you can go to the website. The holiday sale is running until the end of the year. So if you guys are interested, go pick up a copy of those books. All right. So I don't know which one to look at first. Let's look at Spider-Man Nobody's Safe first, because this was the first book that I actually got printed and did on my own. So essentially, just the camera a second. Let's go down a little more. Anyways, all right. So the inspiration for this book was essentially like I was going to do a story about Sleepwalker. I don't know if you guys know the character. No, this wasn't for this one. Sorry, that's a whole different story. So this is I just essentially for Spider-Man Number Safe. I just wanted to have fun with a bunch of Marvel characters and make like a bootleg comic. I saw Kirk Burdick's Superman comic, Death of Power, and then I saw Mighty King's Spider-Man book, and I was like, man, I could make my own. And at the time, I think Cartoons Kayfabe was like letting people send in their books. So I wanted to make this book and send it to them, and then have them look at it, and, see what they said about it. And then I also just wanted to lean into the idea of just when you use other popular IPs, it kind of people kind of are drawn to that. The idea of like making fan comics and fan art. Like if you look on Instagram, fan art always gets way more likes than original art. So I was like, well, I can do a fan comic, put it out, and people probably click on it and enjoy it because they already preemptively determined they like certain IPs. So anytime you do your own interpretation of, they're gonna like it. So this is the deluxe version. So this is like a 60-page book. It's pretty thick. I started work on this last year, probably like in March. I had the first 20 something pages done before HeroesCon 2024. I brought the first half of it there to kind of show off and talk to people. I had a bunch of Ashcan versions of it, which I don't have on hand right now, but they were just like little mini zine esque prints versions that I made at work, and I brought them to HeroesCon, showed them to a bunch of the people there, handed them out for free, had my information on there, kind of like as a business card type thing. And yeah, and then when I left Heroes Con, I was like super inspired, and I finished the rest of it. This is actually the second print run. So the original print run was only the first 24 pages, which we'll go through, and then the final deluxe version. This is about 60 pages ish, one shot. So yeah, so and then so I wanted to go for like a manga feel, so I wanted like the first couple pages to be colored, and then the rest of it was gonna be in grayscale. I got the colored by Kishi World, who's a pretty dope manga artist local around here. In my area, I found him on Instagram, and I was following his work, and I just had him, I hit him up and commissioned him to color some of my stuff, and he did a pretty good job. I liked it. So this was it. I actually added this like in the deluxe version. The original version, I didn't have like this inner cover background. Like this was like behind here, and that was like the hit, like story and art by me and da da da. But I decided to put it back. I wish I would have thought about that and made a background. But so yeah, I just like I wanted to make my own Spider-Man persona character, and I just wanted him to essentially fight a bunch of Marvel characters, right? So it's just my Spider-Man, and you just fight a bunch of Marvel characters while finding Peter Parker, who's like corrupt and evil, who's been taken over by the Venom symbiote. And so my Spider-Man character, my Spider Son is what they call him. He essentially is going and trying to find Peter, while everybody else is also all the other heroes of the world are trying to find him as well. So, but it's just really just like a fun battle style manga comic. That was pretty much the whole point, which I just wanted to do, cool action scenes, cool fight scenes, and then yeah, that was literally it. I had a really great time. I had a really loose script for this one. I didn't have too much of a plan or idea as far as like what I want to do. I just wanted to just go super free range and just essentially just make a cool battle manga. I had bones of a story, nothing too complex, nothing too crazy or outlandish or super deep. Just something that would be fun, for a bootleg comic. And I had a good time. I really just had a great time doing all these grays and just trying to figure out how I wanted to tell a story. Things like this I really, really liked and enjoyed, trying to draw backgrounds. This is actually the last comic I drew digitally as well. Everything I've done since then has essentially been traditional or like trad digital, which is like I do my pencils still. I'm trying to adjust the camera. Sorry, I didn't get the full thing under to be able to, but I still do my pencils digitally. Like my thumb and the pencil I'll do digitally, and then I'll print it out and then I'll ink it traditionally. And that was essentially because I was inspired by Heroes. When I went there last year, I saw all of the original artwork, and I was like, man, I got to get in on this. I want to have paper to pencil and pencil to paper and inks and do this all myself. But I still found doing my thumbnails, my pencils digitally just is a lot more proficient. I did one comic, which I'll show next, all traditionally, like the pencils and inks and everything traditionally, but I think working digitally on my thumbnails and pencils is just a lot faster for me personally. But I had a good time with this comic. I was just like essentially just trying to pick out which characters I wanted to put in each story, like in the comic to draw. Like I really like this Green Goblin. I think it still holds up. I think it looks really, really dope. It's my, Spider-Man right here looks super dope. This panel I think came out pretty good. And yeah, I was just really just having fun with this whole thing. This panel, I think it came out pretty good. And then yeah, I mean it is like the heart of I was kind of going for like Dojin type, super graphic, super gory. Yeah, I was just going straight, for the action really with it and just doing what I could. This page, I liked this, but I wish I would have, when I was drawing it, I would have thought about where I was going to put the word bubbles a little bit better, but I think it still came out pretty good. I just liked the perspective of the characters here. And essentially, this is just like a cameo fest, after a while. Just, again, it was just like, find all my favorite characters, and I'm just going to just gonna draw them, and I'm just gonna put them in the book and just have them get essentially thrashed the whole time. Just get you know get fucked up by Spider-Man. So that was pretty cool. And then so when the original print run, this was the last page of the first initial print run. And then this, and I was gonna do two different separate issues, and this was gonna be the cover for issue number 2. But I was like, nah, I'm just gonna make it one long book, and I think that would just be better than having two separate comics and I just didn't feel like doing all that. I feel like I was just doing too much. But this was just a page from the second part, and I just liked it, so I colored it myself, and then I just made it the cover. So it was like a chapter break essentially for this, and then we go to second part, and I brought Lady Pool. And then I just had fun with her. She's a fun character to draw. Had some good, action with her in here. I think that panel still holds up. Looks pretty good still. This sequence was one of my favorites drawing. I was trying to go for like a Looney Tunes vibe, like a super funny, goofy, like her whole sequence was just supposed to be just super funny. I think this panel looks dope. And then, the conversation. I started doing this motif right here that I found when I was reading, I think 20th Century Boys at the time when I was doing this. So, Urasawa, he does this thing where he'll either leave the main character all white and gray the background, or he will do the vice versa, just leave the character all gray and then leave the background all white. So I was kind of adding that, my own spin on that in this comic. I did that a lot. This is a funny sequence. I think this is such awkward perspective. I didn't really do a real perspective, but I think this looks funny. And then I do this funny like face. She's like grabs his ass, and so. And then again, just having fun. I think this panel looks super dope. I think came out pretty good. And then I was trying to figure out how I can do this sequence where she gets her head sliced off, but you don't really see it, but good. This panel I think looks super dope. I always like this super crazy like close-ups. I kind of do that fairly often in my books, where I'll just do a close-up, just kind of fill in the panel and make it look kind of crazy. And then here I was doing like the flashback sequence. I'm trying to like drew all the covers, Spider-Man, and give this flashback kind of again the reason why he became the he is. And then here's that cover, the chapter break that I was talking about. And then I again, there's another background flashback sequence. They're kind of just talking about each other's relationship and stuff. And then I was just just having fun for real. I like this sequence, with the punching. I was like, everyone punching Venom, and I drew him like super hulking over him, and he was just like, and here's that other motif again, where this time I did everything gray, and then he's just all white. And then again, another just random cameo. I was like, all right, let me see who I can have come up, and I just drew the Hobgoblin just for shits and giggles. And he just gets smoked immediately. Like there's nothing, but he was essentially supposed to just throw the pumpkins. And then we see what happens after. Peter's dead. We have Samuel Jackson pop up with the SHIELD agents. And then so my Spider-Man at the end of the book is literally the last hero left, because Peter essentially murked everybody else. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then I added a bunch of this stuff at the end. Just like these are all the art I was doing preemptively, like kind of prepping for the comic. Like this is like a cover else idea I had for this book. Some sketches I did of Green Goblin and Spider-Man that I did like my little creator talk at the end. And then this is very important for all those indie guys out here. Always have like your contacts in the back of your books. I got a QR code. It's just free. You can get this anywhere. I don't know where I forgot where I got it, but you can find a QR code for free anywhere. And I always put my stuff on there. So like it just makes sense. I do that on all of my books. So this is like my last digital comic, right? That I did. And then like I said earlier, it was a Heroes Con, saw the traditional artwork there, and I was like, man, I gotta get back on paper and pencils, inks and stuff. And I hadn't drawn traditionally in years. I got back into drawing digitally when I first got back into drawing. I was drawing digitally, and so after that, I was like, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna do my next comic full traditional, and that's where this comic. This is my comic that I did full traditional, tit for tat. So this comic was the Sleepwalker inspired comic. Again, I was gonna do another bootleg comic to kind of do just more of those types of stories. I felt, you know, doing a bootleg comic for a already pre-established character would help me essentially boost, you know, myself and my name, and just kind of play favor doing that. I've seen it work for a couple other creators. You know, kind of got a little bit of boost of just doing a bootleg comic of a popular character. So this was originally going to be a Sleepwalker comic, and then it evolved into its own original idea, which is Tit for Tat. Again, this is available still on my website. I have like 3 or 4 more copies left, and then I'll be sold out. But essentially, the premise for this comic is, what would your imaginary friend do if you were getting violently bullied at school? And it kind of just goes from there. And so I wanted the idea for this comic to be, again, like Sleepwalker, where, you know, I don't know if you guys know the character Sleepwalker, but his power essentially are is he comes around once his host that he's in, the person who's host, his host body goes to sleep, so his host human goes to sleep, he's able to pop up and do his heroics or whatever. And I like the idea of like, okay, you go to sleep, and you know, like a monster comes out or whatever, your imaginary friend essentially, right, is what my idea kind of grew into. And so I drew this in like one of my sketchbooks, and I liked his drawing, so I scanned it in and then I put it in here for this. And I just wanted to go with this whole theme of a journal, because I mean, once you get into the story, the main character the main character Gil is getting bullied by this guy named Mattis, and yeah, it kind of just goes from there. And so I drew all this traditionally. So I was using the not the 11 by 17, but like the A4 deleter paper for this, and I did it all traditional. Inked it, penciled it, everything. So I was using like a blue line lead pencil thing, and I was inking with the Winsor Newton #2 or #3, I think, and then microns and stuff. And man, boy oh boy, that Winsor Newton brush was kicking my ass. That shit was it was hard to use. I didn't realize how hard and how tedious it was using a brush, and then also like the maintenance to make sure, because you know, when you use a brush like a Kolinsky and stuff, you have to like clean it every single time or it's gonna get messed up. And you know, those brushes are kind of expensive, so you don't want to ruin it really quick. So like I bought like a course to see like, okay, how do I, what's the best course of action to, you know, keep it clean. You know, I bought that brush cleaner and all that stuff, and it was just stupid. But so yeah, this is kind of the story. Again, just all traditionally, and then I was just going for it. It was kind of trying to find like some of the crazy stuff, like to give you a reason for like this bully to make you not like him, and just kind of showing the sequences of him just getting bullied. I was trying to make it really dramatic. I think this panel, I like this panel a lot. This panel as well. I was trying to just, like I said, super duper dramatic, kind of keep it really moody. That was kind of the vibe I was trying to go for with this. And then, you know, this page, I really like this page too. I was trying to get like a cool, like dry brush feel. This is like what the motif that I use in the front, where it's like a journal, because in here he writes in the journal about how he wants Mattis to die, and then he goes to sleep. He wakes up, and he like awakes his imaginary friend. Right, the power of the pen is kind of like the idea, like, you know, what you write and what you put out there is kind of what you'll get. You know, so the energy you put out there is kind of the energy you're gonna get returned. So I like this page too. I like broke the panel with his hand dangling off his bed into the next panel, and use like the shadow, and then you know, the hands popping out of the journal. I like this page a lot too. I think it came out really, really good. I was really hyped when I made this character design for the monster character. So yeah, I had a really good time just making this. I was trying to go for like when I was doing the monster talking, I just wanted to be like ominous. I added like the extra bold lines behind it to make it kind of pop off, and then I added like splatter effects. I did it all digitally though, and I just thought it looked, it came out pretty cool, man. Um, Again, this one was like I had the script done, I had kind of the vibes I wanted to go for, um, and just kind of was just going for it. I think it kind of holds up just a bit. Some of it's still a little wonky, and then again, like this was like my first time using traditional tools, so it was kind of hard for me to kind of get used to actually using eraser and white out, and not just on the Procreate just using double tap undo. So I was really just trying to figure out what tools I liked, what worked with my hand, and things of that nature. Essentially, is what I was going for with this one, and used a lot of blacks, used a lot of inks. I was using the leader ink, the black, with this one. That was like my main ink, and I used a lot of it. Using a lot of blacks, just trying to go for the vibes. Like that right there. But yeah, it was just like a lot of experimenting, and I've narrowed down the tools that I like now. But this one was very much experimenting, trying to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like. I don't know why I went straight for a brush for this comic. I was like, I'm just gonna use a brush because brush is cool. You can get good, lines and stuff. But my hand wasn't like steady yet for that, or like really, really ready for using a brush. I like this panel a lot. But I think I caught the vibe though. I think I got the story across fairly well. I like this sequence a lot too with this page. And this page. This is like one of the first pages I drew for the book. I think it came out really, really dope. And then I did the gray, everything in the back gray, and then leaving him white. I had a little bit of digital splatter. And then, yeah, I just kind of went through another like montage of just him getting his just do Mattis, the bully character. I inserted this digitally as well. Of him like kind of following through the sequence. This page. This page is one of my favorite pages as well. I like I did the inverse with that the screen tone thing, and then this panel is probably like my favorite. I think one of the favorite panels I've drawn. This is inspired by like Itachi when he touched Sasuke in the face, trying to take his eye. That's kind of where I got the inspiration for that. And then again, another sequence. So the funny thing about this page, these two panels are actually reversed, like on the actual drawing, because when I scanned it in, I was doing the adding the tones and the words and stuff. I kind of realized the way I wrote the script and the way I drew it didn't match up, so I just flipped these two figures because I think it just made more sense that way. And then I drew this page. I like this panel again. I really like the silhouette. Kind of just, I feel like it just adds more of a moodiness to it. He slices homie's head off. He's like he wakes up from the dream. The decapitated head. And then he wakes up again. And then yeah, that's kind of the story. For this one, I added my words behind it, and again I had like the journal overlay. And also, again, this is like I said, the most important thing for to have your contacts on the back of your books so people can check you out. That's tit for tat. I had really fun, learned a lot working on this project primarily because it was my first time doing something traditionally. And then I just realized, tradigital is where to go for me because I just doing everything traditionally. It just takes a long time, and the one thing that people don't talk about with comics is, or they do talk about it, but it's proficiency, and getting everything out there in a timely manner. And I'm really big on being proficient with my time and just doing everything in a timely manner. But this book is still one of my favorites. This one actually sells really well, like it shows, and in general, because of the tagline where I say, it's about what your imaginary friend would do if you're being bullied. So I think people really are drawn to that. So all right. So then after that, I started I wanted to move away from one shots and do something that was like a longer form story. So I did these AWOL. And what this was kind of the emphasis for this, and why I started doing this, was I wanted to make a book that was more of a mainstream concept, mainstream idea, kind of something that would sell at bigger shows, where like Tit for Tat and Spider-Man Nobody's Safe were kind of not. I mean, Spider-Man Nobody's Safe is going to sell itself, right? But I wanted my own original IP. I wanted something, that like that wasn't a genre book like horror, which depending on the show could be a hard sell, and depending on your style it works or it doesn't work. So I was like, okay, let me do something that's a little more, mainstream, like a superhero kind of battle. If those who read it, AWOL, it does have horror elements to it. And then I also was like, man, let me do a Kickstarter for it because let me try my luck. Because when I first got back into making comics, I you know I wanted to do a Kickstarter because I feel like that's like um the way to go for this. So I did a Kickstarter, successful, made a little over $2,000. I had a bunch of cool, variant covers, which I'm already sold out on. Again, you could buy AWOL issue number one and issue number two on my website at the discounted price. Um, but so yeah, for this book, I was like, I did the whole deal, Kickstarter. I did the variant covers, the whole nine, and that was, it was a real fun experience, stressful experience, but I'm just glad I did it and I was able to get this book done. I'm super duper proud of this comic. And yeah, so uh, design everything, and this was just, it was a fun story. I'm almost done with the fourth issue. I'm finishing it up, and I'm going to put a trade out next year. Because essentially what I wanted to do, another thing that I learned, because did a couple shows this year, and one, outside of making a mainstream esque looking story, I wanted to do of something fuller, something that wasn't just as floppy. I wanted to put out trades or like taco bonds. I don't want to just put out floppies anymore because I feel those sell better as well, because I feel like people feel like they're getting more bang for their buck instead of buying it. Even no matter how many pages I put in a floppy, right? All my floppies are always double sized. This is a 40 page, or this is like a 60-page book. Spider-Man Nobody's Safe is like 60 pages. Tit for Tat is probably like 30, 40 pages. And even though that is technically a double-sized comic, just because the floppy format I feel like is not as enticing for people, because if you're not a floppy person, or you're not a comic book person like that, like who buys comics that are in the floppy, they some people are hesitant to buy them because I feel like they're easily damaged. Whereas if I give them a trade, or I give them a thicker book, they're gonna be, oh, that's cool. I would rather buy that because it could be a coffee book I could put in my bookshelf, a coffee table book I could put in my bookshelf, yada yada yada. And again, it's more bang for your buck if you can get it at a better price point. You can sell it, better. This is just things that I've just kind of seen and learned. I don't know how true it holds up. I've only done 3 or 4 shows this year. This is my first year tabling, but I feel as though that's something I wanna do, and I just think it just rolls out better also. Just, instead of me having, 4 floppies, like 100 copies of 4 different issues, I can have one thick book and have 100 copies of one thick book. But so AWOL, so the first issue of AWOL, instead of me talking about my business stuff, talk about the story now. The first issue of AWOL is essentially a standalone issue where we meet this character who you don't even find his name out right in the first issue, which was by design, who kind of rolls into this town. that has been invaded by these monsters called the Brutes, and there's a lot of people going missing because of this. So in the first couple pages, you'll see like this wall full of all these missing signs, and he's having this conversation with this guy who's this vendor. He kind of tells him the background, like, yeah, all these people are on these wall. People are hoping they can find them, but they're all missing, and they're pretty much dead because there's a brute roaming around the city, and he's essentially killing eating all the people. So yeah, as he's running through the market square, he runs into this girl who gets robbed. He stops the robber. The robber threatens him, and then the girl invites him back to the house to eat and stuff because she could see that he's just a wandering traveler. And I had a really good time doing this book. This book was my first traditional book, so I did all the pencils, layouts, digitally printed them all out in blue line, inked them traditionally. And this book, I kind of figured out what pieces of tools that I really liked and that worked and I was comfortable with. So I used Tombos, Microns, and that was pretty much it. Tombos for the brush strokes and brush marks, and Microns and Copic multi-liner for all the straight stuff. I really like the sequence. I think I did a good job with this one, where I just kind of like laid out like the vibes of where they're at, the environment before they got into their conversation. With these type of sequences was just people just talking. I wanted to just kind of break up the mundane, and I thought I did a pretty good job with this. You kind of get the background of what this character is going through, and then we get Buddy dips out, and then after that, it's just straight action. The rest of the comic, I just laid out the groundwork and just kind of went for it. For this book, I wrote and drew and thumbnailed all the first 4 issues. So it wasn't like I didn't, after I was done issue 1, I had to write issue 2, issue 3 to 4. No, I went from issue 1 all the way to issue 4, scripted everything, thumbnailed everything before I even put pencil to paper, because I wanted to have everything prepped before I even started. So, and then, yeah, I just had fun with this book, just joined this gang, and then fun action sequences. And after a while, it kind of does get hard for me to like figure out what how to coordinate a battle sequence and not just repeatedly do the same things over and over. But this is a dope double page spread that I added in here. I actually got inspired to do this double page spread because I was reading a Ninja Turtle book with my son, and in that book it had this double page spread in there. So I kind of like took inspiration for how they kind of laid it out, and then did that with my own. This is like a last minute page I added in, and it was a bitch to figure out how to put the pages in here, set it up for mix them to have them side by side. Like there's a whole beast. That's why I added like all these pages. So I could have it make sure it planned out the right way, and then just a lot of ass kicking in this book, man. I really like this panel. This panel came out super dope. Just a lot of fighting, man. A lot of epic battles. Again, another cool, dope splash page. And then you think it's over. You think he just defeated the gang, and then out of nowhere, Buddy's head explodes. This is one of my favorite panels I drew. That looks good on the camera. And then we see, boom, it goes from just like a battle street fight to something a little bit more, something that people, I don't know if they were expecting from the book. And then we get the sequence. This is where I was go for like the horror aspect, where I was gonna make it super graphic, super gory. The monster pops up and things go from crazy to worse. Like this guy's getting his head exploded out, he's getting stomped out. Just trying to figure out what I could do to make it just look crazy. And then we get the the cover right here, and we get the transformation sequence. I was going for like a takusatsu vibe, super super Sentai-esque vibes with this one. This page is super dope. I really had a good time with this one. This was like a page I really liked. Again, with the gray background, white foreground, and I inversed it on this panel. It's just something I just like. I think it gives a different vibe for storytelling. I don't know. This panel, super dope. And I was just, just having vibes, man. Like for me, drawing fight sequences is a super like I can once I have the choreography down on how I want to sequence everything, it's really quick for me to knock all this stuff out. Having a real good time just drawing people getting fucked up. Here, let me get the monster. The girl. He eats her. Buddy gets the electricity. I like this panel. I think this panel came out really dope and fries him up. It's really pretty sick. And then we kind of get the closing story. And then and then with this one, my goal was you get a full story without having to lead into anything else. That's what I wanted to do with the first issue. I feel like it just kind of is a better way to write stuff where you just kind of give you like the first issue you give a full complete story, and then nobody likes it, they can put it down, and they at least they got an idea what's going on, but also leave a trail for future stories. So another cool thing about the Kickstarter, I got a bunch of dope pinups for the Kickstarter after I was funded in the week, and then I was like, you know what, let me see if people want to do pinups because I always think it's fun to see how people draw your work. So here are some of the artists that gave me pinups for the book, and a lot of dope art, man. A lot of super cool stuff in here. Great artists that just did their thing. And here's some early concept art that I did for AOL. This one was kind of like based off like a Japanese magazine I was looking at. I kind of going for like the wonky colors and all the maximizing the shapes and everything in the backgrounds with like magazines. This one was fun to draw. I got like star stencils, and I like splattered all around. I thought that was pretty cool. This is the promo that I took from that page of them lining up, and I got it colored for the Kickstarter, and I used made mini prints like book plates for these, which anybody who orders from my website will get. However, get a book plate of this as well. I have a few left, so. And then I added this, which is what we're going to look at next, issue number 2, which I finished before issue number 1, before the Kickstarter was over, which is cool. And I added it as a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. But again, you got to have the advertisement for your stuff. So I took away all the, on the other books, I had like my @ signs for everything. And this time I just left the QR code and then my publication, my imprint name on there. So that's issue number 1, and then we're gonna look at issue number 2. Again, these books, they're not gonna be pre-printed. Once I'm sold out of like the floppies, I'm not gonna reprint them in floppy format again. I'm just gonna reprint the trade and then just continue on doing that from now on. Because like I said earlier, I was talking about earlier, it just makes more sense for me just to do it that way. Business wise, I feel like it just will sell better. I don't know. All right, so issue number 2, I was done with issue number 2 before the Kickstarter was over. My original plan was to have all 4 issues done before and then do a Kickstarter. But I decided to table at a convention, Atlantic Comic Con, and that convention, I wasn't going to have all the stuff done before the convention. So I was like, let me do the Kickstarter for at least issue number 1, so I can have issue number 1 for that convention. And I was able to do that. Issue number 1 sold out at the convention, which was super dope. And yeah, I mean, I had issue number 2 there as well, and I was just doing a lot of good sales. So this one, issue number 2, again, this is still kind of a standalone story, but it leads into the bigger world of AWOL, and we kind of get a kind of an idea of why, what's going on with the main character. We find out who he is, kind of a little bit of background, and all that. And then I was able to draw, some cool monsters. Like the idea for each issue that I want to do is have a new cool monster in each single issue, and then just have the main character, whose name is Stokely, deal with them. So Again, I had one variant cover for this, which was like a last minute variant cover for this one, which it's in the back of here. I don't have any more of those either, but so this was, I like this. This is like kind of the opening thing I had. The first issue was the wall. This one's called Little Monsters. I drew like uh, little faces and the teeth. Opened up with a double page spread, which I think was, I think came out pretty cool. Like I got like I never did double page spreads because I was super like worried I would like fuck it up and it wouldn't lay out right, and then kind of just went for it, and I think it did a good it did a good job. So here we got the main character who we find him at this bar, and these people at the bar are talking about him, and because he's wearing his uniform, which is a part of a group that he is in, um and they're trying to see if he's actually part of the group or if he is just a phony. But at the point of them confronting Stokely about his whether or not he has stolen valor or not of what he's doing, some guy walks in with his hand gone, and they're like, oh, the monsters took my wife, blah 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 blah. They're like, oh, we got a legionary here, which is what Stokely is. And he can help you with the monsters, and he's already gone. He's already on the hunt, going for the monsters. So we have him, scaling the mountain. You you know, he's seeing what's going on in these woods. All this stuff's all scratched up and fucked up. And then he runs into right before the cave. He sees a bunch of dead bodies in front of the cave. And then this sequence is really fun to draw. Him like walking into the cave. I really like this panel a lot. The bones, and then we got the little monsters here. And there's this woman, this guy's wife. A lot of people said that the monsters look like the Izzes from the Max. I honestly wasn't thinking about that when I was designing these monsters. I think I think like I just want like at first the design for the monster was just I like the idea of having this like no face thing that was kind of creepy, and then I wanted him not to have sharp teeth. He was gonna have like regular square teeth because I thought that looked creepier than sharp teeth. But then I was drawing, and I drew like 3 pages with him having sharp teeth, and I was like, "Fuck!" I'm just like, I guess he's just gonna have this fangs, because I just thought I thought it would have looked creepier with him having just regular straight teeth, like human teeth. But I dropped the ball on that one. uh, but yeah, I had a good time with this character. It's easy to draw, super, easy to redraw. And, had a fun with these sequences. This is one of my favorite sequences with the hand. He splatters his ass up. And then we get the reveal. There's more than just him. There's a whole colony of these little monsters. And just had fun with these sequences of just him, getting chased down and all this stuff. And then again, we get to the city and we get another head explosion, which I think is just a fun thing to see. Just like you see the guy, and then the next panel is just his head's gone. And you're like, what the fuck? So yeah, I mean, I was just having fun, just drawing, all these creatures and fighting, and he's just supposed to get overwhelmed, and then we get a reveal of there's more people who know Stokely, right? This is the first time we get his name reveal of Stokely. These people they show up who are part of his team, former teammates who show up, and they're like, "Yo, you're having a hard time with these little fucking monsters. Like, dude, these are weak." And then we get a transformation, and we get to reveal of them and their I call it the heroic form, and so we see them go at it with the monsters, and they all get them done pretty easily. I was trying to do something, a little experimental with this page where I added the panel with all the foreground of the panel is all the monsters like laid up pretty much dead or knocked out or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. I saw somebody do that in one of their comics, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Let me try that out myself and try to be as creative as I can, I guess, with each layout. Try to do something different creatively. So I thought that came out pretty good. And then we get this sequence right here. He gets knocked out. I mean, this was actually a misprint, which is annoying, but it is what it is. This page is supposed to be right here, but he gets knocked out. We see like, oh, they've been looking for him for a longest time, and then we're supposed to see him locked up, and they take him away because you'll find out in the next 2 issues what happens. I'm almost done with issue number 4, and then after that, I will put out hopefully probably like spring or summertime the trade. I'm either gonna do it in a Kickstarter or just self-fund it. We'll see. And then again, I got a lot of dope fan art and pin-up art from some dope artists. I got Brunson, who did a drawing of the actual character that's coming up in the next issue, who actually hasn't been revealed yet. This guy, he's a super dope artist. I met him through Discord. His name is Sanchez. I don't know his name. He has a really good webcomic. His name is Carlton. I met him on Instagram. He's a really dope artist as well. Devin, he did a dope drawing. AWOL, and this was the variant cover. Originally, it was just a pinup, and then I asked Junk Draw if he wouldn't mind if I use this as a variant cover, and he didn't mind, so I used it as a variant cover. He just killed it with this cover, man. It looks, I mean, this drawing is super dope. He just went all out, and I was like, yeah, I gotta use it, and I sold out of it real quick, and I was like, damn, I wish I would have saved one. But it is what it is. And then these are some of the drawings I did of like the character designs for this book. So this is the other Legionary character right here. I did this in my sketchbook, and then this is the monster. And like I said, they were supposed to have straight teeth. I thought that would have looked way more creepier than sharp teeth. I don't know. That just looked more eerie. There's some concept art that I did for this before, with the like this sequence is actually earlier on, but this is the drawing I did before, like when I was working on the scripts and thumbnails. And then this is the cover, but in black and white. And this is the cover for issue number 3, which I already have done. Shout out to Comic Ken, who did the colors for this. It looks super sick. Sadly, there will not be an issue 3 in print because I'm just not going to do that. But again, my little blurb I like to put on there, and then again, the most important aspect, which is this right here, the promo of your stuff and where the people can find you. So yeah, that's all the books that I have right now that I did this essentially this year. Not this year. I did these 2 this year, and Tit for Tat, I think I did earlier this year. Tit for Tat, I finished and put it out, I think like in February, March. I did this one early summer. I got both of these done in the summertime, and issue 3 actually done. I would have had issue 4 done by now, but I was just taking like just kind of a break. Just kind of just BSing and just trying to build up this channel and the YouTube stuff. But these are like the books that I've had done and printed. These are all my first books that I've actually done physically printed out. Everything I've done before has pretty much been digital, draws, web comics and stuff. So it's been a real fun journey so far, just making all this stuff and doing all of this. And it's just super dope. Again, you can go to my website, and I have all these books for sale right now. I'm just trying to honestly just clear out house, clear stock, and you get ready for next year. And yeah, I mean, I think I don't sorry, I'm trying to pull up the website real quick, but yeah, I just I think that having physical books is super fun, super dope. Going through this journey of starting out, a couple years ago, doing what I was doing, and then getting to this point where I have a bunch of books in hand, and I'm essentially selling out. Like I sold out a Troll Call, sold out a Scrub a long time ago this year. Tit for Tat, I'm almost done with this Spider-Man Save still around. I have Otaku no Gaijin, which I didn't show, but that's like an anthology book that I have, and then AWOL 1 and 2 you can buy right now. And then I have some books on there you can download for free as well. So if you guys are interested, this holiday sale is going on until the end of the year. I have like very few, very, very few like copies left of stuff. Like AWOL number 2, I'm on my last like 3 or 4 issues. Tit 3 or 4 as well. Spider-Man so probably like maybe like 10 issues, and AWOL number 1 I have probably like 20 issues left out of the like 80 I had. So yeah, I'm moving books, man. They're I mean it's been a journey. It's been interesting. Um Getting all these stuff out there. I think it's just fun. Hopefully I can do some more shows next year. That's kind of like the plan to do more shows, but I want to bring better stuff and just have new stuff every single time. I don't want to have like a lot of stuff. I think my plan is for like all of my one shots. I'm gonna probably just collect all of them and make them into like an anthology book of just like my stuff. So like my basketball comic, Scrub, Tit for Tat, and probably Nobody Safe will probably just be collected in one book, along with like art or something like that. Make it maybe like a art book slash comic thing. I don't know yet. And then the AWOL will be out probably this summer. Volume 1, the full collected edition. I actually got the cover back. I don't know if you guys are interested in seeing the cover I drew. I'll show you guys a sneak peek since you guys are on stream. Um, just of some of the what I got done. I got it colored by a dope artist, Tevo, who did the pinup in the book. Um, Let me open it up for you guys. So yeah, let me show you guys real quick. Boom. This is the cover for Volume 1, AWOL Volume 1, which will be coming out either the spring or the summer. So, Tevo did his fucking thing with this shit. It looks fucking fire. Um, yeah, he just killed the colors. I drew this paper, pencil, ink to all that stuff, and then he gave the home run with that. So yeah, that should be coming out sometime next year. Like I said, spring, summertime. Probably do a Kickstarter for it for the first volume. It'd probably be around 150, 160 pages. Shit. Let me this last thing. I'll show you guys some pages that I've been working on. And then I'll probably get out of here. Show you some of the stuff that I've been working on for issue number 4. So far I got probably like 20 something pages inked so far, maybe probably a little bit over 20 pages inked so far for issue number 4, or I guess chapter number 4, since it's going to be in a manga. I mean but here's one of the pages I did yesterday. Let me grab something cool to show you guys. This is the monster for issue number 4. It's kind of like based off of Majin Buu with horns. Yeah, but I have like I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I literally did over 150 pages in about like 6-7 months, which is super dope. I'm actually really proud of of that. Yeah, here he is again. There's this little guy, real creepy. I was getting real eerie with this issue. This page, I think this is so funny. Yeah, so this will be out sometime next year, and then I'm going to be like, I'm gonna be done with it, and then I'm going to be moving on to another project, and that isn't AWOL. I'm gonna be moving into a superhero comic that I drew a couple years ago. It was an old web comic, and I'm going to redraw it because nobody read it, so redraw it, better art, and yeah, I've been cooking these pages up these last couple days. I'm trying to really just get this ball rolling with this book, and hopefully by the end of next year I have 2 or 3 full length like graphic novels for for the entirety of the next couple years. Like that's kind of like my goal, is to be as proficient, like to be proficient enough to be able to have multiple, to be able to do like multiple volumes. Like I don't want to pop out with just floppies anymore. I want to pop out with just a bunch of like straight full on graphic novels. Like I would look, some of my favorite cartoonists are people who have like who pop out with just like 500-page books and shit like that. And that's kind of what I want to do. I'm gonna still do AWOL. I already have the second story arc already planned out and thought of. Um, it's just timing and just what I want to do, and what's gonna work. And the superhero comic, since I literally drew 11 chapters of that a couple years back, done. So it's just like it's kind of like a no-brainer for me to like a no-brainer essentially for me to just redraw real quick. So shit, this camera's fucked up, but um so yeah, that's kind of it. I appreciate everybody who's watched this live stream. I'm probably gonna take a couple weeks off of doing, like, I know I was doing interviews and stuff. But I'm trying to finish this fucking book. So once I'm done with that, I'll try to schedule back my interviews and doing those things again. I just really had to take a break because I was that was just consuming a lot of my time. Like between this, the main channel and stuff like that. I've been able to schedule out doing like the video essays, because I was able, I've been able to figure out how to manage my schedule doing that. But doing the interviews and stuff was just kind of adding up, even though I have like an editor for this, doing the interviews and all that stuff, and it helps a lot, but it's still just time consuming, just like scheduling stuff out and trying to do like research for the interviewee and all that. So I've been trying to I'm gonna like take a break, probably just, till I'm done with this, and then probably end of the year, starting the new year, just start it back up. So yeah, if for those who were wondering, why I haven't posted anything in a couple of days or a couple of weeks on this channel and then the other one. So I'm really trying to knock out all this stuff. I'm literally like 80%, like 70% done with issue number 4. And then I'm going to do like a hard edit on all 4 issues, make sure everything makes sense, copacetic with the story, and then get all the design work done. Then, yeah, put out volume 1 of AWOL. Be on the lookout for like springtime or summertime for the first full volume. But also, in a couple weeks, AWOL will be featured in a magazine. More news on that later. I'll reveal that once the ball gets rolling more on that project. So you guys will potentially be able to read AWOL monthly for free. In a really cool way with me and a bunch of other artists. So yeah, before I go on anymore, I appreciate everybody for watching this. Don't forget to like the video, comment. If you aren't subscribed, which I don't think anybody here isn't subscribed, or any of the future viewers, subscribe. Yeah, I would really appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram. Keep up with my daily happenings and all that stuff. If you guys are out here drawing, continue drawing, because that's what I'm about to go do right now. Once I get off this, try to knock some more pages. And yeah, I'm having that sale, so don't miss out. If you're interested in buying some of my books, each book is going to come with a book plate and some stickers. That's more enticing. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.